Hey everyone, Selwyn here from WynnStrength.com. On this video, I'll be talking about the reverse grip bench press. So first of all, I want to introduce some background into my own training history just to understand why I would choose to do the reverse grip bench press, because there's really only one reason I'm going to recommend you to do the reverse grip bench press, and that's shoulder injury. Over my life, I've accumulated a fair amount of shoulder injuries in the past. So as a teen, it was due to skateboarding, skimboarding, snowboarding, and just falling on my shoulders, which led to a lot of injuries. No shoulder surgeries, thankfully, but just a lot of rest and recovery and some NSAIDs. So fast forward a couple more years, and a couple of seasons of rugby also led to some falls and some beating up of the shoulder joint and some cracking here and there that I noticed. And again, no recommendation for surgery, just some more physical therapy, rest, recovery, and NSAIDs, and a strong recommendation to stop playing rugby, which I did. So here we are, fast forward a couple more years, and really the only long-lasting effect from those injuries has been just reduced shoulder mobility and acting up of pain every now and then, like a really dull, maybe like a 1 out of 10 sensation in the shoulder joint. That really doesn't affect me 99.9% of the time. It just kind of flares up here and then when I do something dumb and aggravate the injury site. Whereas before, I was talking maybe like a level 4 to 5 out of 10 pain with like a 3 just dull ache that just lasted for a while. So just over the years, my body just fixed itself. I've recovered. So for the most part, the shoulder is not a real issue with my training. However, more recently, I believe I have aggravated it with the poorer bar placement on my back with the barbell back squat, and combine that with the heavy bench pressing. So from between those two, I think I'm experiencing issues. So what I've done is I've decided to look at altering the way I do my back squat. So I've been playing around with different back position, with barbell positionings on my back, just to try and alleviate some of that stress on the shoulder joint. See if I can fix that and not have to worry about it too much in the future. If it doesn't work, I will be switching over to some squats with the SS yoke bar. Hopefully that will fix it out too, because when I did a month of just SS yoke bar squats, I really didn't have any shoulder issues at that time. And in the past, when this has happened before, I have altered my squatting when I didn't have the SS yoke bar, and I did mainly front squats and some high bar back squats, and I found that that helped without having to do that low bar back squat positioning. So in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to fix my hand and bar placement for the back squat, and I will be not participating in the bench press for a fairly long time. Something that has been playing with my mind is if I really do need to do the bench press at all. There are some arguments that it is not the best exercise for chest development. I'm not a competitive powerlifter, nor do I get paid professionally to do anything along the lines of a bench press, so really there's no reason for me to bench press. And if this movement is causing me issues with the shoulder, why am I doing this? And that's something you have to ask yourself too. If there's a movement that you're not getting paid for, that your income doesn't rely on it, or your longevity doesn't rely on it, I don't think you should be doing that, because it's really, it's just causing you pain at this point, and for what reason. So I think assess your own training, assess your lifestyle, assess your goals, and look at why you're doing certain movements if they're causing you issues and pain. And this goes with any problems, even if, I would argue, even if you're having issues with like the squat or the deadlift, if you're really experiencing some issues that a coach has tried to help you with, and you really just not getting anywhere, reassess why you are doing these two movements. So something to think about, but we're getting a bit off track here, because this video is about the reverse grip bench press. The reason I do want to talk about the reverse grip bench press, it is one of the movements that I found that doesn't aggravate my shoulder, much like other movements I've played around with. So the incline bench press doesn't affect my shoulder, overhead pressing, and any rowing really doesn't affect my shoulder or the bicep. And how this pain manifests in the flat bench press is when I get to the lowest part of the bench press, when the barbell's resting on my chest, there is a pain that radiates out of the elbow here. It just kind of shoots up, and it just feels like a general weak sensation that shoots up in the arm, and I'm not able to press up anymore, even though I'm not pressing with the bicep. The bicep just feels like it radiates out of there and just causes weakness in this entire section. So I notice that when it gets heavy, obviously if I'm doing like a 135 pound bench press, not real any issues there, but once we hit up past that 225, it starts to go in there. So another issue to address would be load management. You could argue I could stop with the heavy bench pressing, but I could also stop bench pressing altogether. Nevertheless, if you have access to other equipment, I would look at doing alternatives to the movement in order to build your chest. So look at dumbbell bench pressing, incline bench pressing with the Swiss bar or the neutral grip bar, where you can change the hand angles and the widths at which you're able to use the bench press. But if all else fails and all you have access to is a flat bench and a barbell, the reverse grip bench press might be something you want to play around with. And it's really simple. All it is instead of the palms facing like this towards the feet, you just flip them over and face them up towards your face. Two things to keep in mind is that this does increase the relative risk of the exercise, because when you drop a barbell this way, if the barbell slips out here, it's more than likely going to hit you right in the chest with a regular bench press, because it can't, unless it slips out of your fingers out of the top, it won't really hit you in the face. More likely it's going to drop and like roll down your arm, or at the very least you're going to have your arms there to block it from hitting you in the face. Whereas when the bar's here, especially with the angle that your hands are going to be at with the reverse grip bench press, there's a high likelihood that if it slips, it's going to hit you in the throat or the face. So really pay attention to your safety here. Set up some safety spot pads, the safety bars, put something there, have a spotter, be really wary of that. I would highly advise against using a false grip. Definitely wrap that thumb around there and grip the barbell really hard, because no one wants a barbell dropped on their throat or face. I mean, I don't, so you probably don't want one either. In any case, just keep that in mind. Safety is a bit more of a concern with this movement. That's why I think the risk benefit isn't really there. But nevertheless, it is something to look at if you're trying to work around a shoulder injury. This might help you. The only other difference will be you are gripping it out here, so find a comfortable grip width. You probably have to be wider than your regular bench press, just because the wrist, you can't really torque the wrist. You can't really do a reverse grip, close grip bench press very easily. It's just not comfortable. The barbell will be resting at somewhat of a 45-degree angle in your palms, and that might cause some pain and discomfort, because there's no real other exercise that puts the barbell in that position that I'm aware of. So just something to get used to. With that in mind, when you lower the weight, you'll be dropping the weight and it'll be hitting somewhere between the belly button and the diaphragm, so a lot lower on your torso than a regular bench press would, and you're just going to push that back up in that arcing motion towards your head, just like a regular bench press. So everything else stays the same. You want to bring the shoulder blades together, pinch them together, get that tightness in the shoulder joints, get that nice arch in the back, brace the torso, and then initiate that leg drive and drive the traps into the bar pad. So all the fundamentals of the bench press remain the same. The only thing you're changing is grip angle, hand placement, and where that barbell is going to touch you on the torso. With all that being said, for me personally, it helped me alleviate some pain while going relatively heavy for the skill. I'm not really used to it yet, so I can't go too heavy with it. But it is something I'll look at doing in the future, but I also might just not fight this bench pressing problem altogether. There is one other advantage that there is with the reverse grip bench press, and that is one study has shown that it does activate upper pecs a little bit more than the flat bench press and even the incline bench press. In their study, they found that when you do an incline bench compared to the flat bench, you increase upper pec activation by around 10 to 20%. The reverse grip flat bench press increases that to 30%. So there is a significant increase in the amount of upper pec activation you have when you do the reverse grip flat bench press over the incline bench press, which we all associate with upper pec development. With that being said, I personally wouldn't recommend doing the reverse grip bench press unless you are dealing with shoulder pain and have access to limited equipment. If you are wanting to get upper pec development, I would just stick with the tried and true up incline bench press, just because of that risk-cost ratio, the risk-benefit thoughts that we talked about earlier in the video. Because if that weight drops, I don't want anything landing on my face. That's just that simple. I don't want the risk for dropping that barbell is a lot higher, and the bench press is already quite a risky movement. So compared to all the other movements we do, the bench press is probably the easiest one to die on. So if it's something we can not die today, let's not die today. But all that being said, that's my rundown of the reverse grip bench press. I'll show some clips of me doing it. It's hard for me to recommend it, but it is a tool in the toolkit, something you have access to. Maybe do them lighter for higher reps to alleviate that safety concern. And just have a spotter. Me lifting alone in the gym, it's not something I'm really going to look forward to doing. So there you go. Do it, don't do it, it's up to you. Just remember the cost-benefit analysis there. This has been Solomon from WynnStrength, and remember, a better life through strength.